Our bodies are remarkable systems of balance, constantly maintaining order amid millions of biological reactions every second. And at the heart of that balance, for men, lies an organ often ignored until it starts to cause problems: the prostate. Most people don't think about it until the symptoms show up: difficulty urinating, discomfort, disrupted sleep, or worse, the fear that something serious may be happening. But what if I told you that every day, unknowingly, you might be feeding the very enemy of your prostate? That three common foods found in almost every kitchen could quietly be sabotaging your health. Let's start with the truth about prostate health. The prostate thrives on oxygen, rich blood, anti-inflammatory nutrients, and balanced hormones. Anything that disrupts these three elements begins to tilt the scale toward inflammation, oxidative stress, and hormonal chaos. And that's where our daily habits play a powerful role. Not just what we eat, but what we repeatedly feed our body day after day. The first culprit hides behind convenience: processed meats. Bacon, sausages, hot dogs, deli slices, they're easy, tasty, and everywhere. But these foods are loaded with nitrates, preservatives, and compounds that, when heated, form carcinogenic molecules. The prostate, being a hormone-sensitive gland, responds strongly to chemical and hormonal disruptions. Every bite of these meats creates oxidative stress that damages the delicate cells of the prostate over time. It's not an immediate effect. You won't feel it tomorrow or next week. But year after year, that inflammation builds quietly until one day it speaks: in pain, in swelling, or worse, in disease. Now, let's move to the second everyday enemy: dairy. It's marketed as a symbol of strength, calcium, and vitality. Yet, a modern dairy isn't what it once was. Cows today are exposed to hormones that increase milk production, and those hormones, particularly IGF-1 faxolin, find their way into your body. This factor stimulates cell growth, all kinds of cells, including those in the prostate. When you consistently flood your body with these hormones, you're sending the prostate a constant message to grow and divide, setting the stage for abnormal cell changes. It's not the milk itself, it's what's been added to it, what's been modified in it, and how our bodies now react to it. Men in countries with lower dairy consumption have significantly fewer prostate problems. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern of biology speaking louder than marketing. And then there's the third, the most deceptive of all: refined carbohydrates and sugars. The prostate, like every organ, depends on stable blood sugar levels to function properly. But sugar ignites inflammation. It triggers insulin spikes, and insulin, in turn, feeds the production of hormones like dihydrotestosterone, DHT, which can enlarge the prostate. Over time, excessive sugar and refined carbs cause a vicious cycle of hormonal imbalance and chronic inflammation. Think about the pastries, white bread, sweetened drinks, and breakfast cereals that have become a daily ritual. Each one feeds inflammation. Each one fuels the silent enemy within. The tragedy is not that these foods exist, it's that they've become normalized. Society has turned these harmful items into comfort foods, even rewards, while they're slowly rewriting your cellular health. But the body is resilient. The same system that can be damaged by poor choices can be healed by better ones. The prostate responds beautifully to care, to antioxidants, to natural anti-inflammatory foods, to movement, to hydration. If you stop feeding the enemy, the body can start defending itself again. Science has shown that men who eat more plant-based anti-inflammatory foods, like tomatoes rich in lycopene, a green tea full of catechins, cruciferous vegetables that balance hormones, and fatty fish packed with omega-3s, tend to have healthier prostates. These foods lower oxidative stress, regulate testosterone, and protect cellular DNA. Your diet can literally turn off inflammation at the genetic level. It's not magic, it's biochemistry. We have to understand that the prostate is not an isolated organ. It is a mirror reflecting the balance of your entire body. When your blood sugar is high, when your arteries are clogged, when your hormones are imbalanced, your prostate feels that burden. So, protecting it means protecting the whole system: your circulation, your metabolism, your immune defense. Every choice you make at the dinner table either strengthens that system or weakens it. It's easy to look for quick fixes: a supplement, a pill, a shortcut. But health isn't built overnight. It's a reflection of what you do most often, not what you do occasionally. The foods you eat 3 times a day matter far more than what you take once a day. When you replace processed meats with fresh, lean proteins, swap dairy for plant plant-based options and choose complex carbohydrates over refined ones, you're not just changing your diet, you're changing your biology. The prostate's worst enemies aren't hidden in some exotic toxin or distant chemical. They're on your plate, familiar and deceptively harmless. But when you remove these foods, something incredible happens. Inflammation subsides, circulation improves, hormones begin to rebalance, your energy rises, your mind clears, and your body begins to heal itself. Imagine your cells breathing easier, your blood flowing cleaner, your organs communicating in harmony again. That's what happens when you stop feeding the enemy and start nourishing the system. The power to protect your prostate doesn't lie in fear. It lies in knowledge and consistent action. Your choices today are shaping the quality of your tomorrows. The question is, which side of the fight are you feeding? Every day, millions of men wake up, grab their breakfast, rush out the door, and think they're doing everything right. They're working hard, providing for their families, trying to stay in shape, maybe even taking vitamins. But somewhere beneath the surface, their bodies are silently dealing with the consequences of what seems like harmless choices. A few slices of processed meat, a glass of milk, a bowl of cereal, or a quick pastry. These simple decisions, made over years, are shaping the future of their prostate health more than they realize. The prostate is a small gland, but its importance in men's health is enormous. It plays a key role in reproductive function, but it's also sensitive to hormones, to inflammation, to what we eat and drink. The problem is that this sensitivity can turn against us if the body is under constant attack. And that's exactly what's happening when we repeatedly consume foods that cause low-grade inflammation. It's like a slow, burning fire, not hot enough to cause pain immediately, but strong enough to destroy cellular integrity over time. Let's take processed meats again. It's not just the fat that's harmful. It's the chemical cocktail used to preserve them. Nitrates, nitrates, and heterocyclic amines form when these meats are cooked at high temperatures. These compounds don't just irritate the digestive system, they actually damage DNA. When DNA is damaged, cells start to behave unpredictably. Some die prematurely, but others mutate and replicate abnormally. The prostate, rich in hormonal receptors and sensitive tissue, becomes a vulnerable target for this kind of damage. It's not just cancer that's the risk. Even benign enlargement, which affects nearly half of men over 50, is driven by chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which are accelerated by these foods. Modern convenience has made it easier than ever to choose foods that prioritize taste and shelf life over nourishment. Supermarkets are filled with brightly packaged products that seem appealing and even healthy at first glance. But what's written on the label often tells a different story. Sodium levels through the roof, artificial preservatives, and ingredients you can't even pronounce. The human body wasn't designed to process these synthetic compounds daily. The prostate, in particular, reacts negatively to chemical-laden foods because its delicate tissue depends on clean, oxygenated blood to maintain function. Once that blood is contaminated with inflammatory molecules, damage begins. Now consider dairy. For generations, we've been told that milk builds strong bones and that calcium is essential. That's true to some extent, but what we're not told is that modern dairy carries a hormonal load our ancestors never faced. Today's milk is not simply milk. It's a product of industrial farming where cows are kept in a continuous state of lactation, often due to hormonal injections. Those hormones, including estrogens and growth factors, make their way into the milk supply. And while they might seem harmless in small doses, their cumulative effect over years can alter hormone balance in men. One of the most critical hormones affected is DHT, or dihydrotestosterone. It's a derivative of testosterone that plays a role in prostate growth. Normally, DHT levels rise and fall in balance with other hormones. But when outside hormones or insulin, like growth factors, are introduced, this balance tips. The prostate receives signals to grow even when it shouldn't. Over time, that can lead to hyperplasia, the enlargement of the gland that makes urination difficult and disrupts sleep. It's not an inevitable part of aging, as many believe. It's largely influenced by diet and lifestyle. We often underestimate how profoundly food affects our hormonal environment. Every bite you take sends biochemical messages throughout your body. A diet high in plant-based foods signals repair, anti-inflammation, and regeneration. A diet filled with processed and hormone-rich foods signals stress, inflammation, and growth, not the healthy kind. When men consume dairy daily, especially from commercial sources, they are essentially feeding a hormone driven system that thrives on imbalance. And then, of course, comes sugar, perhaps the most subtle and destructive force of them all. Sugar hides everywhere in sauces, breads, dressings, and drinks. The body has a limited capacity to handle excess sugar, and when that threshold is crossed, insulin levels surge. Elevated insulin is a warning sign, a signal that inflammation is about to begin. But it also triggers increased production of DHT, the same hormone that stimulates prostate growth. The more sugar you consume, the more you drive this hormonal imbalance, fueling the very processes that harm your prostate. In addition, sugar feeds a hidden world inside your gut, the microbiome. A healthy microbiome acts as a gatekeeper for inflammation and immunity. But sugar shifts the balance, promoting the growth of harmful bacteria that produce inflammatory toxins. These toxins enter the bloodstream, travel through the body, and reach the prostate, setting off another cascade of irritation and cellular stress. It's a perfect storm of biological disruption, all starting with what's on your plate. But this isn't about fear, it's about awareness and empowerment. Because just as the wrong foods can cause damage, the right ones can promote healing. The human body is astonishingly adaptive. When you stop consuming inflammatory foods, your cells begin to repair themselves. Blood flow improves. The immune system recalibrates. Hormones stabilize. This transformation can start within weeks. For instance, foods rich in antioxidants, like tomatoes, pomegranates, and berries, neutralize free radicals before they can damage DNA. Lycopene, the compound that gives tomatoes their red color, accumulates specifically in the prostate, acting as a natural defense system. When men eat more lycopene-rich foods, studies show that markers of inflammation in the prostate decline significantly. That's not coincidence, that's biology responding to nourishment. Similarly, cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, kale, and cauliflower contain compounds that help the body regulate estrogen levels. Excess estrogen, often absorbed through dairy and processed food, can contribute to prostate growth and even stimulate the formation of abnormal cells. By eating these vegetables, you help your liver metabolize and eliminate those excess hormones, bringing the system back into equilibrium. And then there's green tea. Not just a beverage, but a natural anti-inflammatory agent. It's rich in catechins, which protect cells from oxidative damage. Drinking it regularly helps the prostate maintain its integrity, reducing oxidative stress and slowing the kind of cellular turnover that leads to enlargement or cancerous changes. Another crucial factor is healthy fat. For decades, fat was demonized, but we now understand that not all fats are the same. Omega-3 fatty acids found in salmon, sardines, chia seeds, and flaxseed are powerful tools for reducing inflammation. They compete with inflammatory omega-6 fats found in processed oils, rebalancing the body's inflammatory response. When this balance is restored, the prostate benefits immensely. Even hydration plays a surprisingly important role. The prostate is surrounded by sensitive tissue that depends on adequate fluid balance to stay healthy. Chronic dehydration thickens the blood, slowing nutrient delivery and waste removal. Water is the simplest, most underrated healing agent available. Men who stay properly hydrated tend to have fewer urinary and prostate issues because hydration supports cellular detoxification. Lifestyle choices amplify these effects. Movement, especially activities that increase circulation like walking, swimming, or cycling, helps maintain a healthy prostate. Exercise stimulates the lymphatic system, the body's waste removal network, and enhances oxygen flow to the organs. When circulation improves, inflammation decreases. Sleep also matters. During deep sleep, the body repairs tissues and regulates hormones. Skipping rest disrupts these processes, compounding stress on the prostate. It's also important to address stress itself. Chronic psychological stress increases cortisol, a hormone that indirectly raises inflammation throughout the body. When cortisol is chronically elevated, it affects testosterone balance, immune function, and metabolic health. Meditation, deep breathing, and spending time outdoors are not luxuries. They're essential components of long-term prostate health. The modern world makes it easy to forget that health is a system, not a collection of parts. The prostate doesn't get sick in isolation. It suffers when the rest of the body is imbalanced. The foods we've normalized, processed meats, hormone-laden dairy, refined carbohydrates, are part of a cultural habit that values convenience over vitality. But change doesn't require perfection. It begins with awareness and small, consistent steps toward better choices. Replacing processed meats with lean, clean sources of protein like fish, legumes, or organic poultry dramatically reduces exposure to harmful nitrates. Choosing plant-based milk alternatives like almond or oat milk cuts off a stream of unnecessary hormones. Replacing refined carbohydrates with whole grains and fiber, rich food stabilizes blood sugar and curbs inflammation. These aren't extreme shifts, they're realistic, sustainable changes that support your biology instead of working against it. And when these changes become habits, something extraordinary happens. Men begin to feel lighter, clearer, more energetic. Sleep improves, mood stabilizes, and vitality returns. These are not superficial improvements. They are signals from the body that healing has begun. When you stop feeding the foods that harm you and start feeding the foods that heal you, your cells begin to rewrite their own destiny. The truth is that prostate health, and indeed all health, isn't determined by genetics alone. It's largely written by the daily choices we make. Every meal is a message to your body, one that says either protect or attack. When we understand this, the path to lifelong health becomes clearer. It's not about restriction or fear, it's about giving your body the environment it needs to thrive, because the body wants to heal. It's wired for it. It's designed for balance, for renewal, for regeneration. But it can only do that when we stop sabotaging it from within. Those three everyday foods: processed meats, commercial dairy, and refined sugars are not just ingredients, they're disruptors, stealing away your body's natural harmony one meal at a time. Once you see that clearly, you'll never look at them the same way again. What you eat today is shaping the man you'll be 10 years from now. The energy you'll have, the freedom you'll feel, the strength you'll carry, and most importantly, the health of that small but vital gland that silently supports so much of your well-being. The real enemy of your prostate isn't time, age, or fate. It's the choices that allow inflammation and imbalance to thrive. But the same choices, reversed and reclaimed, can become your greatest medicine. The body operates like a symphony, and when one instrument falls out of tune, the entire piece begins to sound off. The prostate, small yet vital, is one of those instruments whose imbalance reverberates throughout the entire system. The modern diet, shaped by convenience and habit, has introduced silent chaos into this balance. The three foods that have quietly infiltrated the daily lives of millions: processed meats, dairy, and refined carbohydrates, may taste familiar and harmless, but beneath their surface lies a cascade of molecular disturbances that erode health one bite at a time. Imagine the first bite of a breakfast sandwich, a slice of processed bacon sizzling, dripping with oil. The scent alone activates a primal craving. It feels comforting, indulgent, normal. But what you can't see is the biochemical aftermath that begins in your bloodstream moments later. The nitrates and nitrites, used to preserve that pink color and smoky flavor, interact with the body's natural chemistry, forming nitrosamines, compounds proven to induce DNA mutations. Your body immediately activates its defense systems, releasing antioxidants and anti-inflammatory molecules to neutralize the threat. But day after day, meal after meal, this invisible battle continues. Over time, the body's defenses wear thin. Chronic inflammation takes root. In the prostate, where cellular turnover is already high, these small mutations accumulate, setting the stage for dysfunction. The irony is that people often associate processed meats with energy and strength. Yet the more frequently they are consumed, the more the body becomes exhausted on a cellular level. The constant oxidative stress forces the body to divert energy from repair toward defense. That's when subtle symptoms begin: fatigue, poor sleep, sluggish metabolism, or changes in urinary flow. These early signals are the body's way of saying, something inside is not right. But when we turn to dairy, the story becomes even more layered. Historically, milk symbolized purity and nourishment. But in the modern industrialized world, what was once a simple, a clean food has been transformed into a hormone-infused, highly processed commodity. Today's dairy carries residues of estrogen, progesterone, and hormones, all natural in the cow, but foreign in human biochemistry when consumed in large, unregulated doses. For men, this can spell disaster over time. Inside the male body, the prostate responds dynamically to hormones. Testosterone fuels its normal function, while estrogen and insulin, like growth factor IGF-1, can stimulate abnormal growth. When a man consumes dairy, particularly from conventionally farmed sources, His endocrine system absorbs signals that mimic these hormones. Even small, consistent exposures add up. The gland receives mixed messages to grow, to divide,